Hello, and welcome to Pace to Purpose, where every step leads youth, families, and communities toward hope, healing, and wholeness. I'm Nomi Pace Wallace with Nomi for Youth.
And I'm April Pace Williams with Journey to Live Complete. And we're excited to walk this journey with you.
So, tune in each week as we move hearts and minds towards purpose.
One pace at a time.
Hello, hello, hello,
What's
and
up?
welcome to another episode of Pace to Purpose. I'm Nomi Pace Wallace,
And I'm April Pace Williams.
and this week we are talking again about family. This whole month we're talking about family.
Yay!
Yay. And today, so that little half yay is because today's topic is about navigating challenging relationships within families.
Right.
Yes. Yeah, that's a big one.
It's
And I think it's safe to say that there aren't many of us that are exempt from going through challenging relationships with a family member.
oh,
You know, we all have to do that.
absolutely.
So, trying to find some common ground or peace or just an ability to exist under the same roof at the same time, even sometimes, can
Right.
be challenging, difficult.
Even if you're not under the same roof, it can still be challenging.
This is very true. This is very true. So when we encounter challenging relationships within our family, how do we like monitor or gauge when to engage with
Right.
someone who we might have a difficult time with but we want a better relationship with? How do you assess that when to
Right.
like jump in?
So I think we have to do three things. We have to decide whether or not the relationship is worth engaging, or if we need to set boundaries
Right,
within the relationship, or if we just need to let it go.
right. Yeah.
And that, I think the let it go part is so hard for people,
Oh yeah.
especially when it comes to families,
Right, right.
because we feel like, oh, that's your family. That's your No, it doesn't matter. They are human
Right,
and you are human.
right. So what I'm hearing you say is that you can, in navigating challenging relationships within family, you can kind of assess to see, is this relationship worth working on and getting better? Is there
Exactly.
mutual ground? Can we work on this together? Do we want to travel this road together and be better?
Exactly. Is Do you have mutual respect for one another?
Right, right.
Has there been any type of accountability for any wrongdoings that have been
And that
had?
matters. That really matters.
Oh,
When
absolutely.
people need to be heard,
Mhm.
even if the other person doesn't understand quite exactly where they're coming from,
Mhm.
the fact that you can sit and listen and receive what someone is saying, huh, is
Right.
vital. That's
Because
very important.
your intent doesn't make the offense any less.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So I may be walking with some scissors and passing by you, and I trip and I cut you.
Hmm.
You still bleeding. I didn't intend to cut you. I
Right.
just
Right.
accidentally cut
Right.
you.
And
But
and and therefore you can't say, listen, that was an accident.
that's it.
Get
Get
over it.
over it. No, but that's
Yeah,
what
yeah.
we do
That's what
in
we
relationships.
right, we
We
do.
expect, oh, well, I didn't mean it like that, so I don't know why you tripping.
Right, right, yeah. And yeah, definitely need to be more cognizant of that. I think across
Mhm.
all of us, because I know I'm sure I'm guilty of it.
We all
Sure,
do it.
I know I've done that before, you
We
know.
all do it. Yeah,
So yeah, accountability, very important.
definitely.
So and then the second thing you said was setting boundaries.
Yes.
Setting boundaries is whoo, that's way up there on the to-do
Mhm.
list. You have to set boundaries and you got to set boundaries without guilt, without feeling guilty about, especially when it's family members.
Mhm.
Um, you want to say, because you want to be all giving, all loving, and
Right.
all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes we give beyond,
Right.
and it can feel as if we are taken advantage of. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter the person's intent, right? If
Mm-hmm.
you feel taken advantage of, or if you feel violated, or you feel dismissed, any of those things,
Mm-hmm.
it's real for you,
Right. Mm-hmm.
right? So we need to, when you set boundaries that prevent you from having those types of feelings,
Mm-hmm.
we can't feel guilty about it, because 9 times out of 10, if you have said yes 8 times, and then the next 2 times you say no, well, that family member is going to have a problem with it.
Right.
But you've set a boundary
Mm-hmm.
because, listen, I've said yes 8 times, and I don't know why you keep asking me anyway.
Right.
You know, um, but those 2 times that you say no, that's
Mm-hmm.
what will be remembered by the
Mm-hmm.
family member. But regardless,
Absolutely.
set your boundaries and stick to them.
Keep them.
You
Keep them. That's
have
exactly what I was about to say. You have
you
to
have
keep them.
to, yeah. And no, and like that's why I say setting boundaries without guilt,
Right.
because people will say, "Well, that's your family."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're right. It is.
Someone just posted something about like a video about that,
Mm-hmm,
it's talking about, but they were specifically talking about the parent child relationship, the
mm-hmm,
adult child and the parent relationship, when the parent has done some type of offense to the child
mm-hmm,
and the child decides to go no contact or
mm-hmm.
whatever, and they're like, but that's your mama, but that's your
Right,
daddy.
right, right, right.
Okay, so if my mama or daddy were physically
Mm-hmm,
abusing me,
mm-hmm,
would you tell me to continue? But that's your mama and that's your daddy. You supposed to continue in that relationship. No,
mm-hmm.
you would want me to go to the popo. You would want me to go to the police and file some charges.
Right.
So, but our society has such a, it's almost a disdain for mental health
Mm.
and making sure that people are okay mentally. It's like a, why would you
Even
do that to your
concerned.
mama? Why,
Right, right.
like you did something, your mother or father has been emotionally or mentally abusive,
Mm-hmm.
and when you stop the contact or when you set your boundaries and keep
Right,
them,
right,
then it's you the problem.
right,
No,
right.
no. And we have to get out of that. We have
That
to get
I
out of
agree.
that.
I
Oh
agree.
my goodness.
I agree. So yeah. So it goes from one: do we navigate and work things out
Hmm.
together? We set boundaries and
Right.
work things out together.
Hmm.
All the way to we set
Let that
boundaries and say, "Cut. This. Okay, you're cut off. You're cut off."
let it
Right.
go.
Let it go. And the thing of it is, sometimes that you do need that break. You do need the
Hmm.
break, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a permanent break.
That's true.
Sometimes it can be a permanent break, but sometimes it's temporary.
Right.
And because healing has to occur, right? And
Hmm.
sometimes you can't heal
Hmm.
amongst
In the same place that you
family.
got hurt.
Exactly. So sometimes you need that break and
Right.
then come back and try again.
Right.
So,
Give me time to process this and give me time to be in a better space to where I'm not triggered the same way
and I'm not
that I
caught off
was, and
guard.
I'm not caught off guard.
I'm
I'm
halfway
able to.
expecting it. I know what you're capable of.
Yes, ma'am. All
Yeah.
of that.
Hmm.
But more importantly, I know how to respond. I know how to regulate my own emotions,
Right.
because you can do what you can do all day long, but it's about how I respond to what you're
Exactly.
doing. And so
Exactly.
give me time to be able to be in a better space, to
Right.
be able to regulate these emotions, because you want to act the fool.
Right. Right. And that's the challenge. Regulating your emotions
Hmm.
in real time.
Right, in real time. Listen, this don't have nothing to do with family, but I did it. I was proud of myself, and my husband was proud of me too, because we were in the airport the other day and this person was in my personal space, basically breathing down my neck, and it was driving me up a
Mhm,
wall.
mhm.
And but I sat there. I wanted to say something. I wanted to say something. I wanted to say something. But I did not allow their disrespectful behavior, because
Mhm.
it was, I mean, they were talking loud in my ear, they
Yeah.
were in my space, like I was on
Like
a
you weren't
call,
there.
like I wasn't there. I'm on a call and she's in my frame, like I'm
Wow.
FaceTiming and she's in the frame with me,
Yeah.
right behind my head. And so I wanted to say something, but I just kept on saying, no, April,
Mm,
regulate your emotions, it's not that serious, you are safe.
mhm.
You are safe, and so is she, because
Right.
you're not gonna go off. So yes, that's something to do in
Right.
the moment,
So
definitely.
so so you gave that example, but now
Mhm.
just think, regulating your emotions in a challenging situation with family.
Family,
Because 9 times out of 10, family knows how to
how to trigger
trigger
you.
you.
Hmm.
So, you have to really be prayed up and ready. That's saying, stay ready so you don't have to
You
get
gotta
ready.
get ready, baby. Yes,
Stay
yes, and
ready.
yes.
Because, once we can navigate those, family time can be the best time ever. It is so good for the soul and spirit. It is
Yes,
wonderful.
yes,
But we're all human.
right,
And so we're going to have conflict.
right,
We're
right.
going to have conflict, especially in families,
Hmm.
even outside of families.
Right.
But we're definitely going to have conflict in families, because you just think about it, even the people closest to you, the ones you see the most, your
Hmm.
family, that's who you're going to have
Most
most
conflict with.
conflict with,
Hmm. Hmm. Right.
So we just have to think about what our goals are, what we want for ourselves, what type of relationships we want with our
Hmm.
family, and work towards those.
And when you don't see any of those things we talked about earlier, the accountability, the
Mhm,
repentance,
mhm.
does that relationship help you to honor God?
Right,
How is my behavior when I'm around this person? If you're not honoring God when you are in a relationship with this person, then it's time to ask yourself some tough
right,
questions, and
right.
that boundary might be a permanent boundary.
That's true. Very
Definitely.
true.
Yeah.
Very true. Well, this is a great conversation, and we're going to have more of it when we come back right here on GSSL Radio. Well, this is a great conversation, and we're going to have more of it when we come back right here on GSSL Radio. All right, and we are back. And today's topic is navigating challenging relationships within the family.
Yes.
So we've been talking about it. And what do you think?
I think it's possible. I think healing is possible when trust can be rebuilt over time. I think that is possible. However, I think that you also have to make sure, like we talked about before the break, make sure that you're setting and maintaining those boundaries and protecting your peace and your mental health.
Right. And when you think about that, when you say that, it makes me ask the question, how do we protect our mental health and our peace, when we are trying to navigate this challenging relationship? How do we do that?
So it goes back to basically the setting of boundaries, but in that, recognizing that loving someone doesn't mean that you have to allow them to constantly harm you.
Right. That's very true.
You have to set those boundaries and make sure that you are honoring yourself, honoring God by setting those boundaries and by recognizing that, okay, it's okay for them to make a mistake. That's everybody makes mistakes.
Right, we
We're
all
human,
make mistakes. Yes. Yes.
But to allow the same mistake to be had over and over and over again, and you're the only one that's impacted by it. No, it's no longer a mistake after you bring it to their attention.
Exactly.
That's a choice.
Yeah, exactly. And even if it's a first time thing, if it's so egregious, then hey, we have an understanding that this is not going to work. And I say this, once I have been violated or feel violated, once I feel violated, I feel like you don't deserve a front row seat in my life, period.
Okay.
Go on and sit back over there. You know what I mean?
Right.
You don't need to have a front row seat in my life, because if I can't trust you, then I really prefer not to be around you. I love you. But my boundary is, if you have betrayed or violated me to the extent that if you were not my family member, this would be a different outcome. Then I don't want you in the front row seat of my life. I don't.
So, but then let me ask you this then. How do you determine if the first offense is so egregious and they don't know it? It's egregious to you, but they don't realize that it's egregious. How do you go from that to sit your behind down back here somewhere because you violated me? Even though especially with family.
Right. Within a healthy family relationship, you got to be healthy, and so that means you got to communicate, right? So when you feel hurt or violated, anything like that, you need to speak up. Now, me, on the other hand, I don't do that. I don't do that enough. Someone can hurt my feelings or violate me, and I will keep it to myself. I've gotten a little bit better, I believe.
You have.
You think so?
I think you have.
But I have a history of just carrying it. And what I have learned, though, and I can say that I have learned that when I'm carrying it and holding it in, I'm carrying somebody else's stuff. It's not my stuff. And I've learned to put it down. I've learned to put it down. And so I have learned that when someone says something or does something that is counterproductive to my belief system or anything like that, that doesn't have anything to do with me. As long as it doesn't affect me negatively, that's your business. That's your business. You can have this thought, this opinion, and it can be about me. As long as what you do doesn't negatively impact me emotionally, spiritually, physically, then do your thing. The thing is that sometimes a person's behavior can be a certain way, and it can be like that for so long, and they're not going to change. historically in the past, it would hurt your feelings. Unless you do the changing, your feelings will continue to be hurt.
Exactly.
So you have to change.
You have to change
and understand that what this person's flaws, how they exhibit them, is none of your business.
It's not a reflection of you.
It's not a reflection of you. It does not have anything to do with who you are, your worth, your value. And so therefore, it takes away the power of being hurt by them.
You know what?
That's huge.
That is very huge. And what you said earlier is you're carrying someone else's stuff, right? And I would say you're not only carrying their stuff, you have packed it in your own luggage. You have now, you're not just carrying their bag, because if you're carrying their bag, you can just hand it right back to them. But when we're in those type of situations, we have actually put their stuff and mixed it all in with ours.
Exactly.
No, that's not okay.
No, it is not. It's not.
But the other part in talking about protecting our mental and emotional health is prayer. We have to, and that's really the number one thing in anything that we do, is pray for wisdom and the discernment in how to interact without compromising your own peace.
Right.
What you said a minute ago about you having to do the changing, that's exactly where that comes from. The ability to do that comes from prayer. Because let me tell you something, when you realize that a person ain't trying to change, but you value that relationship, and you're hopeful, you see the potential in that person, and so you're like, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna, Lord, you got it. I know that you are able, and so I'm going to be in agreement with you. I know that this person can change, and so I'm going to help to facilitate that by praying.
Right.
That you come on through.
Right.
But look at here now, Lord.
Her up.
Because But no, so if you pray for that wisdom and the discernment, but the discernment in that type of situation is very key, because you don't want to sit here and you just praying, and they are showing you all of the signs that they're not doing. Nothing is moving right now. Nothing is moving. This is not in his will, apparently. So and that doesn't mean that it won't happen down the line. It just means that this is not
the time.
It's not the time. We talked about time in last month.
Exactly.
So we have to make sure that we have a discerning spirit, and that we're talking to God and saying, listen, what would you have me to do in this situation? Because we are the only people that we can control.
And let me tell you something, discernment is a big thing. And sometimes I think we can miss it. We miss it because, because God comes to us in so many ways.
Right.
And sometimes I think we miss it.
Right.
Sometimes we miss it. And that's why he has to come back and nudge us again, So I would say that he starts off as a little whisper. And when you don't get the message, he gets a little louder, and then a little louder, and then there's
right.
I said right. And then you're like, oh, wait a minute, okay, let me sit down somewhere and get an understanding.
Right. We have to take a step back and let God do his thing.
Exactly.
That's what we're doing when we change what we're doing. We figure out what we're supposed to be doing in the situation.
Right.
That's how we take a step back and say, okay, God, I don't have any control over that. So you do your thing.
Exactly.
You got it under control.
Right. And he will work it out. I mean, I can say that I have been witness to, conflict within family that is resolved. And to the extent where you never know that anything had ever been,
Listen, can we be personal? We talked about it a little bit last week.
Okay.
We talked about it because no one would ever know the relationship, the tension that we had in the past.
Right.
So there are some years between between us, right? And back when we were younger, we had a difficult relationship.
Right. It was rocky.
It was rocky. And I think it was the reason why I brought up the age difference is because you were like a mother to me when I was young. You were my mother and my sister at the same time. And as I got older, that mama part, I was sick
got
of.
On your nerve.
I got a mama and she's strict enough, you know? So
but then, I'm responsible for you.
Right.
So you
but
need to listen.
Exactly. And so there was that tension that started it. That was, I was maybe what?
12.
Right. Oh, you didn't. Okay. Never. You didn't have to do any calculations. You knew exactly how old I was. Okay. All right.
When you just turned on me.
Right. I turned. I said,
I've been raising this child.
And then you called mom and was like, come get your child.
And so what happened with us is a perfect example, though, of when things get heated to the point where it becomes like a volcano or whatever.
Right.
You know, you need to know when to step away. And you do sometimes have to temporarily break.
Right. And so that was my point, is that people wouldn't know to know us now and how much we talk and how much we do together.
Right.
They wouldn't know that at any point
that we had to navigate our challenging relationship. But we did.
We did.
It did. And you know, and that's the past, right?
Right.
And so some people get stuck in the past.
Right.
Right. Oh. But in navigating difficult or challenging relationships within families, we cannot get stuck in the past. We cannot get stuck in rehashing the past. And some of us do that. We can, and especially we should not do it, because the past, if it doesn't affect the future, let it go.
Right.
Let it go. But we can't do that. Years ago, when I lived in Texas, I was a case manager, and one of my clients, she used to say to herself, her name was Loretta.
Okay.
And she would say, "Don't get stuck, Red. Don't get stuck." And that stuck in my mind. And so when I get in a situation where I feel stuck, that's what I say to myself. So we can't get stuck. We can't get stuck in rehashing and reliving the past, because it's like pulling the Band-Aid off over and over again. It doesn't make any sense. And if we have truly healed, then I you know, as a child, I fell and scraped my knees several times, right? So I have scars there, but they're healed. And when's the last time you heard me talk about falling and scraping my knees?
Exactly.
I don't talk about it.
Exactly.
So sometimes people maybe rehash things because they're not healed from it.
That part.
Especially something happened 10, 12, 15, 20 years ago, and you still get heated and excited and, you know, amped up behind it. Yeah, there's some healing needed.
And look, and that's when it's time. Definitely. Well, you should have been there already, but you should have been going to a therapist, the counselor, coach, somebody talk that stuff out.
And which is so important. You know, families can go to group therapy, you know, family therapy. They can do it, you know, seek help. And I think that's one thing as a community, as a society, that we shy away from, and that we need to do more of. And that is seek therapy, seek counseling, seek mental health help.
Right.
And so we hope that you all are navigating your challenging relationships well. We hope that we have given some pointers and tips that can help you to do that. And we hope that you will join us again next week, where we will continue to talk a bit more about family.
To listen to past episodes, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Pace to Purpose.
That's right. So until next week, be sure to take your journey one intentional step at a time. Join us every Saturday at 2 p.m. on GSSL Radio.